Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to No Filter Gen Z. We are young Americans who are fighting to defend the truth. It's more important now than ever before, and we hope that you get involved just as much as we are in fighting for the truth because it's important. We got a lot to talk about today with the news media and things going on with the free speech move, like what's free speech, what's not, what is the threats people are making, just all this stuff combined. Some stupid people on the mainstream media, they got fired for their comments, and then we'll talk about Jimmy Kimmel as well. So all that today, and I think we should start by just saying we love free speech. I mean, that's one of the main values of America is talking freely. If you see the UK and their differences in how a lot of people get arrested for saying things, but in America you can actually speak your mind. And Charlie Kirk even used to say there's no such thing as hate speech. There's only free speech. Any speech is free speech, and the only difference I would make is if it's a threat. That it's like if you're threatening a whole group of people, then I would say that you could probably lose your rights, because violence is. There's a difference between speaking your mind and saying what you believe in and actually threatening someone's life and stuff like that. So that's where I'm at. But what do you guys think before we get into the news stuff? Lydia, about free speech. Is there a line? Is there something that should count or should not count when you're talking about free speech?
Well, I think it's interesting. I remember my freshman year of college, I took American government class, and
Mm,
we did a whole exercise about deciding what is considered constitutional and unconstitutional based on real like court cases, that were brought, to the United States Supreme Court. And so there was I think this was in Texas, but there was now this is a I think it's honestly a pretty relevant example, but it was someone doing a flag burning
mm,
in Texas. And, I originally I was like, well, there's no way this could be constitutional because, you're outright, you're burning an American flag. Like, but then it was the corrective, what my professor corrected me on was that it was considered um, constitutional that he was allowed to do that. And I don't know. I think I have a problem with things like that. I think there is a line, and I think that although like people could argue in the name of protest, protesting the country and all of this, but you live in this country and you are therefore using your free speech, but you're using your free speech to burn the American flag, the flag that gave you this free speech.
mm.
And I think in cases like that, I think that's where I draw the line. Obviously, like the outright violence when I see especially if you're threatening or like terrorism, like you can't do that kind of stuff. Um, and so like cases even like the flag burning, I know Trump has even, talked about that. Like if you burn a flag, I think it was like a year in jail or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. Well, he was at least trying. I don't know if that was officially anything was passed that way. But I think I think it's just disrespectful, like things like that. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like in a way although it's offensive, but I almost feel like that is violent in a way because
Mm.
why are you burning the flag? Why are you burning the flag? I don't know. But that might just be me. I don't know.
That's a good. Let's talk about that for a second. Actually, Elijah, what do you think about should burning? Is that an act of free speech, or is that something that should not be legal? Burning the American flag.
It is absolutely not free speech in my book, ever, never, ever, ever. The people who fought and died for this country kept that flag up with their dead bodies.
Yeah.
Um, so if you have the audacity to burn what they kept up, you are doing the people who fought and died for you a disservice. And they didn't fight and die for just me, not just the conservatives, not just for the government, but for you. And if you can't understand that and respect that and appreciate that, then you don't belong here. I think people who burn the flag should be deported, lose their
Mm.
visa and everything. Just send them to El Salvador or something,
Yeah.
somewhere where they will learn to appreciate American values.
No,
It's disgusting.
I,
Yeah.
you said something that there was people that fought to keep that flag up, and
And still
I remember
fighting.
that cool, yeah, still fighting. I remember that cool statue. I want to just pull up a picture of it. This is why you can't burn the American flag. I mean,
Ujima,
if you
yeah.
have seen this statue, yeah, this is such a good example of these people fought to keep it up. And now there's people that live here that are burning it down. It just does not. Why would you do that? Why would anyone do that? I don't know, but I think, yeah, you can be able to say whatever you want. You can say you hate the American flag, but burning it is a different. It's not just. I don't know. I don't think that's protected constitutionally. Why would that be protected?
No.
Burning
That's what I
something?
didn't understand
It's
in that
property.
class.
I think you
Yeah.
should just designate every American flag as federal property or something like that like. I mean, you see how people don't let it touch the ground, and you have to put it at half staff when the government says or whatever. I think the same thing should be you can't burn it. Like, it should be a part of those rules. I don't know how that works in the actual documents, but that makes the most sense to me. Like, if you're gonna have anything, you should just make it a part of the orders. That's just not something you can do with the American flag. I don't know.
Yeah.
The
I
only
agree.
time it's appropriate to burn the American flag is after it falls, you fold it neatly and you put it on a pyre and you burn it there. No other way. No other way is it acceptable to do that.
Yeah.
If you
That's
can't,
good.
if you're not supposed to let it touch the ground, but you're allowed to burn it. It just people are
Like,
out of their
burn
mind
it
with that.
in.
I think I don't understand how that's
Yeah.
free speech. That's violence and also dangerous.
Yeah.
Especially if it's in a public place. Like, you could hurt someone doing that. So I don't
Yeah.
think that should be allowed. But that's just one example of free speech. Another example that we just saw a little bit ago is Jimmy Kimmel. And I'm going to pull up a clip for you guys to watch of him basically saying some very untrue statements, but still, I think it's free speech, but we'll talk about what we think after I show it. So just watch this clip real quick. This is Jimmy Kimmel on Charlie Kirk's assassination.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks.
This is
They
pretty
just started
controversial.
construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the fourth stage of grief, construction. Demolition, construction.
Okay, that's enough. Anyways, there's a lot to react to there. We're going to just take it step by step. So let's first start with he got taken off the air by ABC, by the thing above that, Next Star or whatever it's called. I can't remember what it's called. He got taken off completely, indefinitely, because of these comments. Now, people are saying that this is an act against free speech, and that this is that he shouldn't be punished for saying these things. But people are also forgetting that you're still accountable to what you say. You're still held accountable to the things you say. You're responsible for the words you say. And ABC is a company, and the other company is a company, and they have every right to take you off if they don't like what you said. Just like any business, you could, if someone says, you see this with people that were celebrating the death. People were getting fired from their jobs because they were saying certain things. That's not against your free speech. He still had the right to say that, but he also needs to be held accountable to what he says, just like anybody. But some people are saying that the government pressured them to take him off, and that's where there's like some blurred lines. But Elijah, what are your thoughts on the whole situation?
See, from what I know, it wasn't necessarily the comment that he said, more so than the people he's catering to, because you're a comedian. You're not supposed to get political. And when you get to that extreme level of political opinion on a comedy show that probably doesn't just have Democrats watching, but also conservatives, now you're tanking because you said something really, really, really stupid. And so now ABC and whoever else is losing money because of your comment. So they're not taking it off because of what he said, but rather the people that he's talking to and supposed to be for. So I think it's messed up. What he said, do I think he has the right to say it? Yeah, obviously. I'm not gonna be butthurt over it. You said it, and I'm just gonna act like I don't know you. But I mean, and now I don't. You don't have a show anymore. Congratulations. But I mean, I think they're making the right decision, not because I hate Jimmy Kimmel, but because as a business, you're gonna lose a lot of money if you keep
Yeah.
him on.
Exactly. And also, not only that, but he also made like those comments were completely unprecedented. No evidence for what he said about being a MAGA supporter or anything other than one of them, because all signs, anything out right now is showing that he was a leftist that was pro trans and all this stuff. So saying that at the top of your show after you knew about these things is kind of contradictive. But also, where are all the people that were getting so mad about conservatives speaking up during COVID about whatever information, and then they claim it's misinformation and censor you on social media and stuff? But they were okay with that, but they're getting so mad about this. Where were they when we were getting shut down for differing opinions on the vaccine and the origins of COVID? You couldn't say anything. I don't know if you guys remember, but 2020 to 2021, you could not say anything and without getting flagged for misinformation. And a lot of it were actually true things that came out later. But back then, I didn't see any liberals mad about that. Lydia, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I do hear everyone is talking about like, oh, the reverse of cancel culture. Now, now conservatives are canceling people. No, I'm sorry. Although now I will say Jimmy Kimmel, yes, I would agree. Yeah, he did have the right to say that. But
And
again,
he's not getting put in jail for saying that, though. It's not like legal. There's no legal action.
No, but you are held accountable because it's not just you. You're not an independent, late night talk show host. Like, you are accountable to a company. That company is ABC, and so therefore, obviously, and I posted this, on my social media, but you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
Yeah.
Regardless if I agree or not. I mean, yeah, you're allowed to say that, sure, freedom of speech, but it was stupid. And now, you're going to reap the consequences of that, clearly, because again, yeah, you don't have a show. And so, but if people talk about the whole canceling, like I've seen so many celebrities, like they're posting about how like, oh, we disagree with this. We disagree that he was, his show was dropped. Like, this is just like abhorrent, all of this. Like, I've seen so many celebrities, but it's like, first of all, you can't admit outright that what he said was, not true, clearly, because all the evidence is pointing again that Tyler is not. And I think, and again, maybe Jimmy Kimmel could have been using it just for the light of comedy, trying to be funny, like, oh, he's one of theirs, but they can't realize it. And maybe deep down he does know that like Tyler is not one of ours. But again, I don't know his intent there. I don't really care. But I think all of that to say, I think, no, we're not canceling people, but it's like, if you're saying stuff like this, like that's outright, first of all, it's untrue, then, obviously people are going to call him out on it and we're going to speak out against it. That doesn't mean we're canceling you. We're just calling you out. That's
Cancel
all
culture is when you dig up old stuff about someone and use it now to defame them and take them away from their platform. This is a current thing that just happened, and we're holding him accountable to what he said. And ABC is.
Yeah.
He's an employee for ABC. So they have the right to do that. I don't know why that's controversial, but it's really sad when you see more people upset about this than Charlie Kirk getting assassinated. And the true attack on free speech was that assassination. Because what he did was stand up for free speech and debate and all the things, and he got killed for it. That's what you should be furious about, if anything. That was the real attack on free speech.
Those celebrities, you don't hear hardly any of them talking about the Charlie Kirk thing. It's now they're coming out of the shadows when Jimmy Kimmel's show gets canceled.
Somehow this is a bigger deal.
Anything to say. And I will say I've seen some celebrities that have spoken out about like they think that this is terrible what has happened, and regardless of how you feel about Charlie, this should not be grounds to murder him. But I mean, so I respect a lot of those people, but then a lot of them haven't. A lot of Hollywood has stayed completely silent. I mean, the Emmys, weren't the Emmys like the day or two after?
Nothing about it. Nothing about Charlie.
Crickets. It's just so disrespectful. I'm sorry.
It's crazy, actually.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think, before we move on, to CNN's reaction to this, what do you think about how Trump reacted to that question about he just went straight to the White House ballroom construction? I personally think that he doesn't want to get super emotional in front of the news right now. And he was a good friend of Charlie, and he kind of looked at him as another son. And if I was in that situation, I wouldn't want all those news outlets looking at me crying right there, because he probably was going to feel emotional if he started talking about it right there. So he wanted to redirect it onto something else. I don't see any problem with that, but a lot of people do. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I personally think it was a little underwhelming, his response, but I could understand, again, why. Especially as the president of the United States, you don't want other nations looking at you crying. Like,
That's
that
what,
looks
yeah, exactly.
weak.
That's what I'm saying. He doesn't want anyone to see the weakness because he's the leader of our country, and so
Yeah,
that's the perspective I'm seeing it from. That you wouldn't want to be vulnerable right there at
Right.
that specific time. He's gonna speak at the funeral and probably say a bunch of good stuff, but I don't think he was kind of caught off guard, and he wanted to direct it to something else. But I don't know.
but I think it could have been a little better if he were upset sounding, or like it wasn't just monotone where it's like, yes, and this, and that, and
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
Instead, like genuinely upset, genuinely pissed sounding at the very least, then you could understand, like, all right, he's fired up, but he's not going to cry over it. He's actually going to do something about this, but it
yeah,
doesn't sound sincere, to be honest, is probably where the left is coming from.
yeah. Oh, I see
But,
it. I see it too.
but yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely could see the that people would see the unsincerity. But I mean, I honestly didn't really have that perspective when I first saw it, because I was just confused, because I was like, oh, like, why did he not have a reaction? Like, he didn't, not that he needs to be emotional necessarily, but just to take some time to just briefly say a sentence or two about Charlie. I think even if he wasn't trying to show emotion, I think would have spoke volumes. And then, he could proceed to talk about the ballroom or whatever he wanted to talk about. But I can see your perspective, both of your perspectives of that, he doesn't want to seem weak and emotional, but I can understand why the left has taken that and run with it, because it does seem dismissive face value. That's originally what I thought. I'm like, why would he react that way? But of course, but then I realized, of course, he was good friends with Charlie, so he's not trying to dismiss anything about Charlie. So I do see your perspective there.
He's
Sure.
also a human and coping too, and I'm
Yeah.
sure maybe his way is different than not everyone copes the same. Maybe his way is to not talk about it right then. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just giving him the benefit of the doubt and saying that maybe he knew he would get kind of emotional if he started talking about it, and he didn't want to get emotional in front of all of them on air, live, in real time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because we saw him on September 11th, and obviously September 11th is a dark day for obvious reasons, but it was him and Melania, and just the footage of both of them, like, they just looked so sad,
You
both
could
of
tell,
them.
yeah.
I think it was just everything going on, like, not only the fact that it was literally 9/11, but also that literally had happened the day before. So clearly there is some emotion there from the both of them.
Yeah.
But just processing all of that, I think, is another thing, and especially since you're the leader of the nation.
Yeah. We'll see what he says at the memorial. Hopefully he says some nice things about Charlie, but I want to get you guys' reaction to CNN's response to the Jimmy Kimmel situation, because they, barely talked about Charlie before going on to this and making this the biggest story ever. So just check this out.
Even though we're talking about comedy, this is so serious, Aaron. Yeah. America is a less free place if late night comedians cannot do and say what they want. Of course,
I'm going to pause it. Hold on. What about Charlie getting assassinated? That makes America a less free place when you can't say and do what you want without getting killed for it. Sorry, I got to interrupt.
It can be tuned out. People can change the channel. That's how we vote. That's how we have our say in America. But this really does have a chilling effect across the American media. And it's not just me saying it. We've heard from the group FIRE in the past few minutes, the free speech group FIRE, saying, quote, the government pressured ABC and ABC caved. Quote, we cannot be a country where late night talk show hosts serve at the pleasure of the president, but until institutions grow a backbone and learn to resist government pressure, that is the country we are. And just one more note, Aaron, I've heard from Brendan Carr in the past few minutes. He's very pleased about Nexstar deciding to preempt the show. He has not officially reacted to ABC's decision yet. But when I told him about ABC's decision to go ahead and basically, this is a cancellation unless the show ever comes back, he did send me a GIF. He sent me a celebratory meme as his reaction, Aaron.
Okay. Well, Lydia, your thoughts?
Yeah, I would also second what you just said about how, they don't bring up the fact that the whole thing of free speech being silenced with Charlie Kirk. I'm like, I think that's the first thing that they should say, but they're talking about, Jimmy Kimmel in this sense, but I think when he said that they should be able to say whatever they want, I mean, not necessarily if they're working for a company above them. They can't say whatever they want because they're accountable to the company.
No, you can't. But what about in 2020 when all of us were getting pressured? It came out that the government censored people on purpose, and no one reacted to that. That evidence came out about that.
Yeah, and the thing is, even like as big as it was in 2020, 2021, that stuff still happens now. You can't say whatever you want on social media because you could very well be censored. I mean, I know TikTok is sometimes notorious for that. I think
all the time.
Yeah, TikTok even sometimes more so than Instagram, I feel like I've noticed. Because again, we used to have an account on TikTok and we have not gotten that back.
Yeah, we can't even get into it right now.
Yeah, so clearly there is still censorship of free speech going on. So you can't say whatever you want, comedian or not. So I don't know why he thinks all of a sudden, it's just because Jimmy Kimmel, now we can't have free speech because, Jimmy Kimmel, no one likes free speech. No, we've been actually dealing with this for a while.
The government pressured Meta to censor conservatives when they spoke out about the vaccine and about COVID and the origins of COVID. But liberals were silent then, and now all of a sudden they're fighting for the exact same thing they were silent on a few years later. Yeah. Like, where was the reaction then, and why?
It's fitting their agenda now.
Exactly, but it's so hypocritical. Yeah. There was no reaction in 2020, but with Jimmy Kimmel, it's all of a sudden the biggest thing in the world. Elijah, what do you think?
I think, comedy should be very uncensored. That's the whole point of it. But at the same point, like you said, he's not self-employed. He doesn't run his own company, his own business. He's under someone. And the image of him on that TV is the image of them behind the scenes. And so that's exactly why. But I think it's just a little two-faced of them to say something so stupid as that, oh man, this is the end of America. This is the end of free speech. It's just like
right after Charlie gets assassinated, and no outroar about that.
Yeah, you guys have been catered to for years and years and years by censoring us on even memes. I've had memes that I posted on my story that have been censored because it's too offensive. It'd be like, it makes no sense. You want to talk about censorship? Don't you dare start with me. I'm a prime example of being censored, and so are you guys.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, they took Trump off every social media platform a few years ago. If you guys remember that, he was banned from. He was after the 2020 election. Trump was banned from every social media platform. Liberals only want free speech when it's on their side.
And that's why he created Truth Social.
Yeah.
So he could actually say whatever he wanted. Yeah.
And the whole point of this episode is to say we need to just get away from this mainstream media that makes up stuff and forces an agenda. We need to get to independent journalism because there's a big rise of podcasts and independent journalists and all these things. You can get so many different sources now that you don't need to just get brainwashed by the news. You don't need to just listen to their agenda. You can literally listen to so many different perspectives, and I think it's a great thing. It's probably the best thing that's happened because now I know the older generations watch the news religiously, but for us, young people, we can go on social media, go on YouTube, go on Spotify or whatever, and get so many different people's perspectives and not have to cater to one agenda.
Yeah, that's the beauty. I will say, as much as technology, and the advancement of the internet can be a downfall, it can be a good thing for that purpose that we can get other perspectives. And although it is good like you've said in the past, Kim, it is good to get other perspectives and not just listen to one source. But yeah, therefore now we have the opportunity where we have the opportunity to do all that. So, which I mean, I definitely think I could be better at. I think I get, my information from a lot of different people, but it is more so, catered to the values that I hold. And I could probably benefit from, listening to other perspectives to know how to counter argument
No,
when
yeah,
people
for
come up to
sure.
me from the other side, not necessarily to sway me on things, especially on really far left news outlets and, news media that way. But it still could benefit me to be able to argue and have various points, be able to come back with things for sure.
Fox News is going to mostly go with, what Trump says. CNN is going to go against what Trump says. That's all I'm saying. We don't need to just have these two big giants control everything. We can go to independent people and see there is a middle ground. There's places in the middle to be. You don't have to be so extreme on each side. I think the
Yeah.
mainstream media and their rhetoric has caused a lot of this violence to start. So just putting it back in the hands of people, independent, there's so many now that I think that is one of the best things from social media and from influencer era is that we have that now.
Yeah. Very valuable to have all of what we have at our fingertips.
Yeah, and speaking of the news, I want to show you guys one person's reaction to Charlie Kirk's death. He got fired for this comment right here. So listen in.
He's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions. And I think that's the environment we're in, that people just, you can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place.
Matt.
And that's the unfortunate environment we're in.
That's crazy. That's crazy. That's basically justifying this guy's actions, saying, "Well, he was divisive. He spread hate speech, so he kind of deserved it." Oh my gosh, I'm so glad he got fired. But
all I'm gonna say is history repeats itself. We are on the right side of history. You're on the right side of history when you're the side that's getting persecuted. You're the side that has to be silenced by the government, by the opposition. Throughout history, that is just the case. And we are the ones who write it. So, congratulations.
Yeah. Lydia, what's your reaction? This was right after Charlie got assassinated.
I just think terrible and such, disrespectful timing of him to even say, although, he could have said that maybe it would have been a little better if he said that at any other point in time, but the fact that he said that the day of, that was the first thing he said in response to, news finding out, and saying also, hateful speech, I don't know where.
When did Charlie have hateful speech, though?
All he was doing was expressing his ideas. Just because you disagree with him doesn't mean they're hateful ideas. That's not what that means.
I've seen so many quotes getting taken out of context about Charlie Kirk.
So many. They take it to fit their narrative, and that, again, that's what that guy is doing, and that's why he no longer has a job, because he chose to say something like that. That's so insensitive considering the situation. Not even he didn't even have a comment of we should not be allowing this at all.
No, he didn't say anything like that.
He has hateful rhetoric, so hateful thoughts lead to hateful actions or whatever.
That's justifying violence. That's the problem. Your rhetoric led to this kind of violence. You should not be saying that kind of thing, especially after he got assassinated. It's just so insensitive, like you said. And I'm glad he got fired. I'm glad.
Yeah, it's a shame though that people are so quick to say things like that, especially in this case. I've just seen it so much, and it just goes to show people's true colors and just what is in their hearts. Honestly, you can't even take a moment to show some respect and
condemn the violence. Come on.
No, it's so disrespectful.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I think we all know that, like Elijah just said, blessed are those who are persecuted. For you you know this is going to happen. Jesus told us it would happen. It happened to him.
Yeah.
And all he did was speak truth and love, and he got killed. So this is not surprising. It's a part of standing up for the truth.
Yeah.
And this is what happens when you have people like this on air who are talking to, like Elijah mentioned earlier, mentally ill people. When you are talking to mentally ill people with that kind of language, and like you said, Lydia, the wrong person hears the wrong thing at the wrong time, this is what happens. So there's a lot to learn, and just get away from the mainstream media is my last thought. Like, don't let it control your life. You can still watch it, but don't let it be the only thing you ever listen to. First, go to God, go to the Word of God. And if it doesn't align with that, then you know there's something wrong already. And then you can go to independent journalists, and then you can watch the news. Don't rely on one thing. It's not good. It's why there's such a polarization right now.
Yeah. If we could come across the aisle every now and then, that goes both ways, and just be able to just be humans and have conversations. I think it'd be valuable, but it's going to take a lot for us to learn that in any capacity, and we won't get it perfect because, again, this is the world that we live in.
Just have conversations is what Charlie was doing. Like, it's just crazy, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Anyways, we'll let you guys, or let us know your thoughts about this. Free speech in America, is it free? Is Charlie Kirk getting assassinated the true attack on free speech? That's what I think. But let us know what you think in the comments. So click that subscribe button to join our movement here, because we're just getting started. We're going to keep going forward, and we got a lot in store for you guys coming up soon. So thank you for watching. We'll see you guys next Sunday. Peace.